is called an extended guard. The simplest extended guard is just, okay, I haven't necessarily punched him. I've simply reached up. So I was here, maybe doing something else, guard, and from there punch. And why the pullback? It's simply because I'm throwing. You look at any punch, it's full reach punch. That's all I'm doing. And that's I might get through with that, I might not. In the old days, bare knuckle boxers are said to have circled through. We're going to get to that in a minute. But it's the same thing, isn't it? This circling motion is as he punches, yeah, I'm not circling with this. I'm simply in constant movement. So as we're, yeah, you can see. So bare knuckle boxing wasn't a case of people walking on. These are still pictures that have been taken. And people have taken me out of context and demonstrated this Titan's gap and thought that you walk around like a stiff 1900s, late 1800s photo. This is a constant state of movement. I might be here, punches there, there's your guard, extended guard. As opposed to this kind of guard. This is fine until Andy punches me on the hand and that hits my own head. Bare knuckles, this is very, very bad. That's why it's a style of fighting. It isn't necessarily useful in some contexts, but it sure as hell is useful to use an extended guard as your platform for unarmed or ungloved fighting. People say, why don't any kata feature this kind of guard? Because the karate guard is a constant series of movements. So this is actually, at this point, just that, but there, and it just completed a movement and done a deflection. This is essentially part of the movement through the karate guard. Yeah? So you have, at that point, the guard. So when Anthony's punching me, I don't have my guard out there waiting for an attack. But instead, my guard is taking this position. So now it's doing something. Yeah? So there's a constant state of the guard being used, not waiting. Because we're not circling. Karate is not a sport where we're circling each other waiting. This is basically in the midst of an exchange. Yeah? So as he attacks, yeah, I have the guard extended. I can go the other hand there, and now you can see that hand is pulling down, and you can see that's come to here. 1, 2, 3. That's your down move. This is pushing up. Let's look at it from a kick perspective. And he's going to kick, guard, yeah. And kicks it up leg. Yeah. We're going to do this as a drill though. Anthony's going to kick, and I'm going to show this as being two variants of cat stance, back and forwards. As Anthony kicks, he's going to kick off with his back leg. I'm going to do this, I'm going to kick this hand up. And I'm going to change the guard slightly and move it there. It's the same motion. Notice I keep this hand here. Let's try. As Jeff deflects, I'm going to walk around. Look at the curve of his arm. It's curved, and he's using his forearm with his fingers away, just like a form. Go from there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. There's no impact, unnecessary impact. He is sliding, and then the whole thing works. Thank you. It's similar to cat stands back, like this could be a backward cat stance, forward. And the form takes you to either position, just comes straight up the middle and up to there. Reason being, it's either there, or it's there, or it's simply up the middle. So it's neutral cat stance. And it's just like there is no single stance that just appears statically. You can stop karate there if you want. But it's truth be told, it's constantly moving. Same thing, stance is constantly moving. There's snapshots in time. The guard is constantly moving. So I might be here as Andy kicks, changes, and it's going back. 1, 2. So 1, 2. It's going back up. 1, 2. So in form, it's just for the kick, but it just shows that the movement is constantly changing. Yeah. We do this rather old-fashioned way. Many people do this as straight working, or they just go back to there, to low. There's a couple of schools that still do it. The Uncle Asato's school teaching from Akoshi's teachers, did this Nagashi. Okay, so people ask often, where does this block come as a block? Or heaven forbid, blocks don't work, yeah? If I'm working with Anthony, they go, where do you ever see somebody do that? It doesn't happen. It does happen. We see it all the time. And it doesn't look like what people expect, for a very simple reason. It doesn't happen square on. And it happens to be square onto your body. But it never happens like this. If you imagine your basic guard, let's say we've gone to this point in the form, and you just extend this slightly. You can see how I get to the guard there, yeah? And now from there, I could just as easily as he punches, deflect in. That's your 1-2. This is what's useful. Look at this, 1. And now he punches there, it looks like I'm wide open. This is where this comes in terribly useful. Watch as he punches, it looks like an invited a punch there, and from here, that's a punch. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah? Watch here. Punch. Faster. Fight! I could do it in his face, I'm just doing it like before, literally low. Nothing wrong with that. It's your guard, as he punches, he goes around. No? There. Punches around. So I'm cycling through the guard. Back. There. Yeah. Punches. Punches there. See my guard is here. Lifts. 1. Yeah. Form does that maybe. So whichever way you want to look at it, this is your extended guard cycling through movements. Whichever way it goes. Can be on the outside. I like this on the outside because that works terribly well. Why? You want to stay on the outside as much as possible. His face, sorry, is in the way, so I can get my finger in, but not much else, yes? So as Anthony punches, that's a perfect target. Punch, right! Over the top. It'll be over the top of this. Okay, let's try. And all of these movements where you're using your guard, extended guard and deflecting, is not a smash. I could smash it if I wanted. It's pointless for me to smash it. But I can let it ride over the top of me. And that's what a good guard does. A good extended guard lets it ride over or under. This would be underneath here. This would be under. Okay. So I can easily go under. And you can see I've used the extended guard. And all that the Iwan Nagashi with this is just lifting it slightly to the side to let it glide a bit better. So instead of doing that, watch, the guard being used dynamically, I extended it. Why would you do that? Again, a very powerful punch, particularly when it's a haymaker around, coming around. This is harder to, and it becomes effectively a block then. That's not very, even then, it's not very much a block. I'm still gliding off it. And taking the majority off by the circular movement of my own arm and getting through. You notice people go, it's 1-2. Suddenly that 1-2 becomes meaningless because it doesn't matter. 1-2. I could do it this way. And it's very little difference to that. Very little difference to, there's no such thing as simultaneous. This is going to happen before the punch lands. So it's always a 1-2 technically. So this is where these traditional objections, or at least the modern objections to an extended guard fail. People go, why don't people use this more in modern combat sports? Well, for a very simple reason. You need to practice these movements. It's all very well to say, oh, I've got that really down. I didn't know what Jeff was going to do. Try a straight punch. I didn't know whether I should do that or that. This takes practice. And when you put under pressure, you know, you can get it wrong. So you need to practice all these sorts of extended guard things. There's no point in saying, oh, I'll apply it when I see it. It's a bit like saying, well, I'll apply head movement when I see it. So when Jeff does a cross or hook, I'll practice that when I, yeah, you'll get clobbered, okay? I know from experience, you need to practice ducking, bobbing, and weaving in boxing. There's no use saying, I've seen that once. So people think, I've seen this, Oh, I understand. You can't. You have to practice it a lot. 1, and now all of a sudden, a bit like a circular movement of the boxer's technique, we're going to no longer do it in a stance. We're going to go straight to the deflection and punch. So we're going to end up with what looks like this. Watch again. What have I done? 1, 2, 3. So combine it with the previous move. Go into the previous move, punch. Watch again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If Jeff's attacking me, all of a sudden there's a punch between there. There you go. Punch, punch. Again. Punch, punch. 1 low, 1 high. Yeah. All of a sudden my guard is now working very dynamically. I'm getting a 1, maybe a 2, 3. So this needs me a punch. I might need it to use my guard there instead of a punch. There's nothing wrong with that. Guard, guard, then guard. So the guard, you can see, is dynamic. There's that move. That's why this is done this way. Watch what happens there. 1, 1. See that slide? Or see the punch? That turn. Again, I'm returning it to guard position. And that very turn means it deflects off me. So his punch comes in. I don't just get it in the waist that he hits my hand. I preserve my body. Because one of the ways I could damage is see the punches extended guard if he holds it there. Bare knuckle, this is very ruinous. So as he punches, you notice there's that slip. Yeah. So that slip is this motion in the form, land. So now we're going to look. 1, 2, 3. With so many options to deflect and so many options to punch, I could easily just do there. Nothing wrong with that. So just this movement alone, punches, is itself an option to punch again. This could be a strike. And then I could strike there. So there's so many strikes I could use. People get obsessed with strikes. Can I make them all strikes? Yes, you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're nice. He's a dummy, that's perfect. We're assuming he's a resistant opponent. Okay. Again, we're thinking about our guard. Look at where our hands cycle through the entire time. 1, 2, guard, 3, guard, right the way through to here. Oh, look, I'm Nagashi. Punches. Punches. And now from around here. Again, back to a guard. Slam. Okay. Watch from here. Punches. Guard. Guard. And you notice from here I'm using this movement, which is where we're going to focus our attention. I'm going to use the guard swap from here and do the old-fashioned boxing circle. I'm going to lift the front leg because I'm going to add a bit of momentum, a bit of weight behind this technique. Because this is potentially very powerful. You might be coming at like a full power cross and cut from below, from the upside, getting everything upside down to him. So unless he's coming really from above, I can use this at a fairly high angle. Even though Jeff's taller than me, you can see this works, but I need weight behind it. And there. Again, this needn't even be a punch. It could be, a strike. I could be, again, smashing it down, another attack. Or it could be striking. It could be doing nothing else but striking. Or I could be doing one punch and getting 2. This looks unlikely till we realize he's going to be trying to get a hold of that angle. He's not going to try and get around my guard. So he could, but he knows that's kind of risky. When he's got full aim there, perfect. So he goes for that. And you notice that circle in itself deflects. So again, my guard gets in the way, even as I'm striking. This is that dynamic guard we're talking. It's called Seiruto, ox jaw block, ox jaw deflection. Seiruto uke, uke is to receive. Your extended guard is doing a circle. It's not a block, as you can see. That circular motion isn't actually directly at the ox jaw, it's at the forearm. This is simply leading the movement. So when I do that, I could be striking the carotid sinus there. But of course, everyone thinks of strikes, but there's nothing wrong with that as an extended guard. So here we are, 1, 2. Okay. Here's a little bit of a fact for you. You'll find the first movement of Naihanchi does there, right hand. You'll find the first movement of this is right hand. You'll find the first instance of this is right hand. Right hand guard. Why? Why not modern? We're not all southpaws. There's actually a very simple reason. This is not a competitive environment where we are drawn into this willingly. It starts off involuntarily. And what happens a lot is people will push you. And you will fall back with the dominant leg forwards. So my theory is that all the forms start like this. And I'm my strongest hand forward for defense. If my aim is in combat sports to win a fight, I'll put my strongest hand in reverse, in reserve, because I want to land a knockout punch. Here, I just don't want to be hurt. I win if I simply don't get hit. So I have my strongest arm up. And that's why this hand, which is normally your deflecting hand, does deflect. And we're really close because the next movement is a sucker punch from not nice and close in. He's pushed me, he starts to hit, and I'm in. And that's why a lot of these movements, first one of these, first one of these, first one of these, all come up, first one of these, they all come up with the right hand in your guard, not the left. It's quite an interesting thing. Okay. And the movement is again a variation on guard. This one is a cross guard. You will see fighters like Ken Rock specialize in a cross guard. And you can see in the odd occasion Joe Frazier would use a cross guard. And in traditional martial arts, the cross guard can be, again, an extended guard, where I'm throwing it out. And at the same time, I'm punching. Yeah? Or maybe I don't know quite what's going to happen. So as he punches, you can see he might go low, and my guard is in the way. So there. So instead of going high, he goes low, and I hit him. So again, I've employed my guard, this time a cross guard. We're going to practice this 1, 2, we're going to do a cat stance with the open hand. And as Jeff punches, I'm just going to practice as a basic 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, this, 2, 1, 2. If we do it as open hand, striking the groin. Or I can do it as a punch. I like the punch. 1, 2, 1, 2, and keep it nice and tight. On the inside, on the outside. Okay, let's try. Like cat stance. Watch as he punches. If I'm pushing in, I'm actually proud of him. I'm proud of myself. Also, I now am completely committed to this. He's likely simply to swamp me, grapple me, suddenly you've got a problem. But cat stance, I'm well positioned to move away. Okay? And again, I use my guard to maneuver him. Yeah, to move around. Punch the other hand. I've got that. I can stay on his outside. The cat stance is what lets me. Watch again, punches. There. Watch my stance. Watch again. There. See how I'm maneuvered away. If he attacks, it's the same as we did in Saifa. I can alter the cat stance there. And then transfer there again. Got my cross guard. And I can go to the high. So you can see that I've got maneuverability. I don't want this. Ah, boy. Thanks. Okay. So you can see there's a risk in getting in at an angle like that. So I keep a cat stance so that I can keep mobile. I go completely the other side, which is what I'm doing here. Now I'm going to go there. As I apply this, I push that leg out. One, 2, 3. And then so they can't shoot me.